So welcome you guys. Thanks for joining us for AbleTech's Tech Thursday. That's a mouthful. We're so glad that you guys are here with us today. We started out our AbleTech Tech Thursdays back in April when COVID-19 changed the way everyone operates to stay connected and use the virtual platform to continue to provide educational opportunities. You can go to AbleTech's YouTube channel and watch any of those previously recorded sessions. We will also be recording this session and the future Tech Thursdays as well. Before I introduce Amy and her topic, I want to give you some basic Zoom helpful tips. That's always helpful to know. Usually I have the settings set up to where you're muted upon entry of the room. I disabled that feature today unintentionally. So if you wouldn't mind going and muting yourself if you haven't already. I did catch a couple when they came in and muted you guys, but if you'll check to make sure that you're muted for now. We will have time later where we'll open up the mics for discussion and Q&A. But in the meantime, if you'll try to keep your microphones on mute, I'll be doing the same because I have a couple of large dogs that like to bark and join in on the conversation. You can use the chat box to ask questions or make comments. I'll be monitoring that on Amy's behalf and answering them as we go along, either in replies to the chat or verbally in discussion with Amy. This session is being captioned by ACS Captioning. We have Brooke with us today. To view the captions, click on the closed captions tab down at the bottom. It might say subtitles. I can't remember exactly what that language says, but those captions are there. You just have to enable them. A little tip on viewing, you can change your settings at the top right corner to view the speaker versus gallery mode. If you click on speaker view, then the person that's speaking is going to be highlighted. If you click on gallery mode, then we're going back to the Brady Bunch view and everybody has the same size box. I am going to do some opening polls. We have some opening polls to identify who the audience is with us today. So if you'll take a second, answer those questions, and then we'll have a couple of polls towards the end. Let me go ahead and launch those first polls so we know who is in our audience. If you'll take a couple of seconds and answer those questions for us. While those are up, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick run through of AbleTech course services. For those of you who know, who are new or unfamiliar with all of the AbleTech programs, AbleTech is the state AT Act program for Oklahoma. We are charged with the mission of assisting Oklahomans with disabilities and their families, or individuals who provide services, access to and acquisition of assistive technology. We provide demonstrations, virtually and in person. We provide short-term loans of assistive technology. It can be for a variety of reasons: short-term accommodation, professional development, waiting on repair of a device, evaluation period for some of those speech pathologists, or to use it to make an informed decision if that piece of AT is going to meet your needs or not. As you may know, our short-term loan program has been closed over the summer due to the pandemic, but that program has now reopened as of July 7th and is able to fill loan requests now. We ship items to you at no cost, send them with a return shipping label for returning after the loan period, and you can access inventory by going to our website. We also have acquisition activities, such as the financial loan program to purchase AT at a low interest rate, and the reutilization program where we can help get AT or DME that's no longer being used into the hands of someone who can use it. So those are the basic core programs. Let me get to where I can end my poll. The little end button disappeared. Thank you guys for doing that. Multi-purpose there. So, you know, we've been using Tech Thursdays to dive deeper and explore through demonstrations of different AT categories, using this time to explore different features, functions, and solutions for those areas of AT. Now, I want you to channel your inner student and get ready to learn some great ideas. Amy Woods, occupational therapy assistant, is going to walk us through the value of play, types of play, purpose of play, and ways to adapt play with simple AT solutions. So with that, I'm going to let you take it away, Amy, and I'm going to be checking volumes to make sure everybody's muted, and I'll give it to you.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Amy Woods, and like Shelly said, I'm a OTA. I've been an OTA since 2011. My main focus is pediatrics. I never worked with adults, so pediatrics is my go-to. I kind of miss the care for others, but I'm really working this avenue to get assistive technology out there to our children at the youngest possible age, because when we start early, it's the best treatment and care for our kiddos. So with that, I'm going to introduce some simple assistive technology for solutions of play. I thought it would be a really fun topic to go over. It's, you know, super broad and everybody has their opinions, but we're going to go over what is AT and the different types of play stages and how we can incorporate assistive technology into play. So I'm going to start my PowerPoint. I'm going to take myself off video so I'm not distracted. It distracts me. And we'll start our PowerPoint. And I'm going to kind of go in and out from a doc cam to our PowerPoint. So here we go. I'm going to move our bar out of the way. So AT, a lot of us know what AT is. It's any piece of equipment or device that's used to improve capabilities of people with disabilities or any individual. It helps people who have difficulty speaking, typing, writing, you know, cognition and remembering, seeing, hearing, learning, walking, and all kinds of other things. Assistive technology is really used to maintain or improve. Oh my goodness, I drew a blank. Holy cow! To adapt and change. What am I trying to say, Shelly? Holy cow. Increase independence. There we go.
There you go.
Spit it out. Holy cow. That's funny. So there's 10 different categories of AT. I don't know how we're going to edit that. That'll be fun to edit for our recording. So there's 10 categories of AT. There is vision, environmental adaptations, hearing, speech communication, seating and positioning, learning, cognition and development, recreation, computer access, and vehicle modifications. And vehicle modifications I haven't dabbed in too much, but I'm about to, so we'll see how that goes. You know, AT is also a service. We can directly assist people to help select, acquire, and use AT devices. We can help somebody, you know, figure out what type of AT is out there to meet their goals. So we are available for that. Any assistive technology specialist should be able to help you with these processes and goals. So AT is not only devices and services, it's also, I mean, it's not only devices, but it's services as well. So we have 3 different types of AT. Low tech, which are things that are commonly found in your environment. Usually they don't cost, or they're very inexpensive. They are unsophisticated, usually don't have an electrical component, just very, very simple to use. Mid-tech, they're not as common to find in the home, but you can find them in the home. They usually have a battery or mechanical component, and they have some complex features, but not very much. And then the difference between high-tech and mid-tech are that high-tech is very expensive and they do require training, and they definitely are electronic or mechanical. And they're very high-end pieces of equipment. So I created a Padlet for everybody to join. So if you want to scan this QR code on your phone or enter the web link into your browser, it'll pop up some questions so we can all just kind of interact with one another and kind of bounce ideas off of each other and things like that. I really want this to be an open conversation. Through my years of occupational therapy, I've learned the most from my colleagues, and that's what we're here for. So please just join the conversations and questions. I value my colleagues. You know, they're my go-to people when I'm stuck and need to problem solve. So that's what we're here for. So we're going to go over what is play. So the definition of play is to engage in an activity for enjoyment and recreation rather than being serious or practical. You know, play is the key element of learning for kids. It's the basis of how kids learn and develop their cognition, their emotions, and all that kind of stuff. A child's work is to play. It's so valuable. It's the basis and the stepping stones of knowledge and cognition. It's something that needs to happen for brain development. So like I said, the importance of play, it develops not only your physical skills and your cognitive skills, but language and communication. It develops social skills from a very early age, emotions, and exploring the environment, knowing what's in the environment, and being able to process and regulate sensory input. That's a very important piece for kids. And
Hey,
in these
Amy, can I interrupt you real quick? Will you go back to that last slide with the QR code real quick?
Sure.
And then I'll type it into the message box.
Of course.
Hold on.
No problem.
And hope I don't have errors in the type.
And if you guys need to go back, just let me know or let Shelly know. I'm not paying attention to the chat box because I can't see it.
Yay, I got it right.
Yay, cool. Okay, we ready?
Ready.
Okay. And so like I said, the importance of play, physical skills, cognition, language, communication, environment, all the above. It's our building blocks, like I was saying. So there's two types of play. Unstructured play is free time, open-ended, no strategy. There's no organization to it. The kids play off each other or get things that they want and play without any direction. And structured play is clearly the opposite. It's organized play. It's usually led by a grown-up or an older child. It specifically happens at a certain time. Just like my son just left to go play bowling. That's, you know, a structured activity. Board games are usually structured, sporting events, sporting games and practices. Even library story time for our younger kids. Those are structured types of play. So the big barriers of play are physical limitations, access to the environment, sensory limitations, such as being able to tolerate the sunlight or different lightings in different environments, being able to tolerate noise, being able to tolerate people's touch and smells. All those things go within the sensory limitations. Over independence on a caregiver. I have seen this time and time again where neither one has an opportunity to let the other one play or let the other one be independent. So this can be a big hindrance to our kiddos too. And it's really hard to tell a parent that they're being overbearing. Let's just be honest. Nobody wants to be in that role. So then you have minimal opportunities for social interaction. They're isolated or, you know, they don't have the means to get out and about for social interaction, or they're immunocompromised and they just cannot be around other people. And then access to toys, just simple things like that. In our Padlets, we have a question about, and I can switch over as well. I have it up. So we have a couple of questions. So who has used low-tech AT during play? And then what barriers have you discovered during play that were not listed? Hearing other participate, I like that. That's a good one. So if you guys think of anything or any certain situations that you've been in that the barrier is huge and it's not something that we think about often, please put it in the box so other people are aware. So there's 6 stages of play that we're gonna go through. So I'm gonna go through a stage of play and then assistive technology. Oh, I did some feedback right there. So then I'm gonna switch over to the doc cam and show you some AT that you can use for unoccupied play. And then if you have an idea or something that you've used for, you know, certain stages, please put it in the chat in the Padlet. So unoccupied play usually is birth to 3 months. A lot of stages of play overlap. So you'll notice that a lot are like, the next one, solitary play, is birth to 2, and onlooker is 2 years old. So there's a lot of overlapping in this, and it just depends on when you develop and when the kiddo develops, actually. So unoccupied play is discovering how the body moves, typically. So this is when we, oh, guys, I skipped a slide. Whoops. Hold up, let me go back. So strategies to promote play.
Hey, Amy.
Yeah.
Her Padlet's still up.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna secretly text you that, but here we are.
I don't have my phone. There, can you see it now or no?
Yep.
Oh.
Nope.
Got
there
it?
You go.
Okay. Good, you didn't see all the strategies of play. So the strategies to promote play are going to be, how do you adapt commercial products? How do you use what you already have within the home? Toys are expensive, and lots of people can't afford to buy, you know, adapted toys because those are an extra additional expense, and they don't come cheap. Seating positioning and mobility to access toys. Are they seated properly? Can they reach the toys? Are they in the best position to be able to interact? And can they get there? Can they have access to that toy? And then also some things we don't think about are stabilization of toys. Can they knock it off the table? How do we not allow them to knock it off the table? What are some things that we can hold the fort down, per se? So some good low tech or no tech AT for seating position and mobility is side lying. You can side lie against the wall to give them some support. Against the couch is a great idea. You can roll up a blanket and put it behind them for some proper barriers as well. Corner sitting is very great. It gives some lateral supports on either side. Circle sitting also, because they can stabilize themselves with their arms in the middle of their legs when they're circle sitting. And like I said, you can use a rolled up blanket and for tummy time. You can do it for positioning the elbows. A beach ball is really easy to use. You can blow it up just a little, depending on your kiddo, and it makes a great wiggle seat for on the fly. And I also like to blow up a really a fairly large beach ball and set it inside a bucket, and you have a quick ball chair. Pool noodles are also great for positioning. They give good barriers for, you know, edges and things like that, as we know. So pool noodles, I use them for a lot of different stuff, and they're cheap. And who doesn't have any of those in their home? I think I have about 50 with my kiddo. They're everywhere. So stabilization of toys. I'm talking about things like shelf liner. That is something you can put on a tray or a table, and that holds the object steady. You can use bungee cords. I've seen this where they put it through like one of those balls that are holey, and tie it underneath a high chair tray. So that way the ball can't escape, but they can slide it back and forth. You can use zip ties. A jar opener works just like the shelf liner, the jar openers that are kind of rubbery that you use, to get a good grip. Those work very well, and I'm a huge fan of Velcro. Velcro all things. So here we go. Unoccupied play. This is where I was at. This is the first stage of play. So it happens, like I said, from birth to 3. We discover how the body moves in this stage. We get to where we're touching the face and we're playing with our hands and we're finding our feet. So it has a lot to do with body orientation, body awareness, and recognizing their environment, such as hearing people, recognizing voices, to navigate them through their environments. So unoccupied play is pretty simple. I'm going to show you a few pieces of AT. Textured books, an infant mobile, mirrors, tissue paper, and gel boards are really great, easy things that you can use. I'm going to turn my video on here and show you a few things. I'm not going to use my dot cam for this because these pieces are quite big. So I made a mobile last night with 2 hangers, hot glue, and yarn. And then I just printed these pieces of paper off the internet. It took me less than 5 minutes to make. It's very simple, it's portable. So if you're at the park and you're in a play bassinet or something, or even on the ground, you can hang it anywhere for the kiddos. It's very light and portable. And then my 5-year-old also wanted to use it as a target practice, so you could use that too for play. Those mobiles are really easy to make. Then we have a textured book. Now we are focusing on low-tech AT because in these times we're doing a lot of therapy virtually, and the parents need to be able to use stuff on the fly or what they have in the house because they're not getting out and about. So all these things I used from my house. I didn't go buy anything except for Velcro today for the game board, and it's just because I didn't have enough pieces, and my mom didn't want to give hers up. So, but that's the only thing that I went and bought. Everything else is from the house. So we have the textured book. I made this yesterday as well. This is kind of like an outdoor woodsy book, and I went outside, I got a leaf and hot glued it. Makes noise, it's textured, and it goes with the scenery. And then these are kind of hard to see, but I got feathers out of a feather pillow that we have and stuck them to the book for the peacock feathers. And then I used Wiki sticks. They're one of my favorites to outline the snakes. And then I used hot glue for the elephant's water, which is hard to see because it's clear, but I used hot glue for the elephants. So it's a really neat, easy way to adapt a book. You just need pieces from your environment, different elements. And then mirrors. We all use mirrors. There's one in the house somewhere. These are great for those unoccupied play kids that are birth to 3 for, face recognition and things like that. This was up in my cabinet. I've used it for years. You can also get larger ones that they can't knock over and set it on the floor against the couch or whatnot while they're doing tummy time to give them some play as well. Then we have tissue paper. Who doesn't save tissue paper? I'm a tissue paper gift box sack hoarder. I think every birthday party I'm taking some home because I don't want to buy it. I'm too cheap. So tissue paper, if you put it in between the couch cushions, by the babies on the floor, they can practice kicking. So they hear the rustle, they hear the rough and, the rough sound of the tissue paper. That crinkling noise is very entertaining for them. And then they have to look, then they practice a chin tuck. And you can even flip them over on their bellies and they can pat it as well. Just make sure they're not pulling it yet towards their mouth. You want to be supervised, but you could put this in the crib for them to kick or anything like that. And also just to play, grab, and manipulate. They love those sounds. This is the sound that's in those manufactured balls and things like that. I mean, we already have this in the house, and people just forget that we can use it simply. And then we have, I made a binder with gel boards on them. I didn't put gel in these only for the fact that I'm going to use it over and over and I don't want them to dry up and have to redo them. But you could use baby oil, you could use vegetable oil, you could use even like conditioner or laundry soap, anything to get that little flow in there where they can press and pull. I used a Ziploc bag and then some tape. I wanted duct tape, but all the decorative duct tape's at work, so I didn't have that here. So I used packing tape. And then on one side is magnets, so they have to push and pull a little harder. And then the other side are just those dots. I really like to use these on the tile floor or the wood floor and tape them to the floor for tummy time for kids. Super quick, super easy, and long lasting. It's a really, really great tool, and everybody has, Ziploc bags and tape in there and little trinkets. Who doesn't have trinkets? You could even get pebbles and rocks or use rice and beans and noodles, anything that's small that they can manipulate. So that's unoccupied play. Are we seeing my PowerPoint, Shelley? I'm going to assume that we are.
Yes, you're good.
Okay. So then we have solitary play. Solitary play is when we start to develop our imagination. We start exploring different objects and things around us. We start to concentrate and focus and learn to attend for a brief time. And this is when we gain a little bit of independence. When we play, playing by ourselves and not having mom, nearby constantly. And then we start to develop interests. They don't have interest in other people in this stage of play, but they have interest in things. And they don't care what other people are doing. Even if they're physically close, they are just kind of involved in themselves. They want to play by themselves, and they don't have that sharing and development yet. All right, let's see if we can get my dot cam going, Shelley.
So you're still sharing your power. Okay, there you go.
All right. It looks blurry, is it? Oh, it's frozen. Oh, no, it's not. Does it look blurry?
It does look blurry, but we'll see if it transitions a little bit when you put something under it.
Okay. So adapted books, they're still my favorite. I'm going to talk about them all day long. They're great for learning, cognition, and development. Oh man, Shelley, am I right side up?
Yes, you're perfect.
Okay. So here we have Walter's Wheels. We have made our own flip book for this by using Post-it notes. You could use a piece of paper and tape. But these are the kids that aren't reading yet. They're just exploring. You're trying to develop, fine motor manipulation. You just use a Post-it note. You can play with them. This one has a piece of Velcro right here for a little bit of texture and grip. And it also kind of protrudes it out just a little bit on the page so they know to flip it so it doesn't blend in. And you can play, where's the animal, where's the chicken. You can go along with the book. Tractors plant grain. You could cover up the grain, and have them find the grain. You can do multiple things with a hide and seek book. And what I love about these, if they tear them off, you can replace them, because we know that the kids are going to rip those flaps off. They do every time, and then your book is kind of demolished. So I like that it's easy to do this. You can also hot glue it, but tape works just fine. Usually everybody has tape in the cabinet. So these are really neat to use. Where's the man? There's the man, etc. Where's the tire? Where's the cars? Super simple AT solution. And let me see, we have sorting. I'm a big fan of muffin tins. I love them for sorting, eating out of. I like them for fine motor manipulation. They're great. I feel like that's sideways. There we go. Kind of tricky, guys, using a dot cam. My son had these in his room. They're magnets. They're different colors on each side, but I can simply create a sorting device and have it ever changing, because I can change out the colors. I can do 1 or 2 colors. I can do all 6, whatever's preferred, or whatever your kiddo can do. You can grade it up, you can grade it down. And then I had these fuzzy balls that I could use for the sorting. I felt safe with those because the kids, they put them in their mouths. They can't swallow them quickly. They're just safer than coins or beads or anything like that. But just a super simple sorting activity. I love to do like cereals and things like that for sorting in these, because then it makes it a little bit more fun. So that's just a really simple, easy idea that we had in my kiddo's room and in the kitchen. You could do buttons, large buttons if you wanted, just whatever you have in the house. Then we have action figures. So a lot of people will use shower curtain rings. I didn't have any of those. Mine are metal and they open, so I couldn't grab one. So I thought, what else can I use? And I just used a mason jar and I hot glued it. So now there's a large grasp that the kids can use to play with the toy and hold it. They can also, I can't put my hand in it, but they could put their hand in it and put it on their wrist and be able to hold on to the action figure or toy. Because let's be honest, these toys are pretty slender and are, take 2 or 3 fingers, and a lot of our kids can't grasp those. So that's a really great idea. Then we have the other action figure. I hot glued buttons to the bottom so he'll stand up. Because how many of these guys have you tried to have your kids stand up and they just fall right over and then they get frustrated? He can still move his arms, his knees, and all kinds of things, so he can get in different positions, but he stands. That's what's so great about these. They're very good to use on those like farm animals and zoo animals that won't stand up on their own, the ones that have the little bitty legs and they just fall over. So that's a really great idea as well. You can use super glue, whatever you have adhesive wise. Let's see, coloring. I had to see what else I had on my thing. Coloring, I left that out. So pipe cleaners. I use them a lot for things. And I adapted these with pipe cleaners, and I did a pipsqueak one. I'm a big fan of pipsqueaks because kids' hands are small. They need small utensils, but they're very easy to put on. And then if you just turn the pipe cleaner just a little bit for a good grip, it will fit directly on the person's hand and not slip. And then it makes it really easy for a kiddo to grasp and write in color. Really easy. You could also use a zip tie like that too. You just obviously can't tighten it as tight or they'll be trapped. You don't want that. No constraints. Any questions so far, Shelly? Good. All right. I'm going to go back to sharing my PowerPoint. I'm going to go back and forth here. I don't know why it went from adapted puzzles. I did not have one here. My son and I just purged his closets and stuff 2 weeks ago, and so I got rid of the puzzles that are simple and have the little handles on them. But you can go to Hobby Lobby. You can get little wooden pegs to put on top and glue them, and you'll have an adapted puzzle. You can also do pipe cleaner just like I did the marker. Just twirl it around the little knob and secure it, and you have a loop that they can pick them up and put them back in. So spectator play. Spectator play is onlooker play. This is where they learn cooperation, some social emotional skills, and they develop communication by listening to others and watching others. They learn how to be social appropriate in this aspect of play. It is not a piece of play where I could interact with AT only because it's onlooker and spectator. They're just really observing and watching and taking in their environment and learning from others. So this one does not have an AT slide. In this situation, it would be really nice for the kids to have whatever the other children are playing with, so they can do some mimicking. That would really help out quite a bit. Parallel play. Parallel play is vital. People don't understand how much kids need parallel play and that it's normal. I have people all the time come to me and just say, he'll play next to a kiddo, but he won't interact with the kiddo. Well, they are interacting, just minimally. Eye contact, looking over to see what the other kid's doing. They're imitating, and we might not as adults be seeing that, but that is something that they're developing in parallel play. They develop social relationships, and people say, how's that? They're not interacting with the other kid. But if you take one kiddo out of a group of kids during parallel play, they are going to notice that that one child is gone because they have been imitating them and watching them and observing them. So they start to develop social relationships, and social relationships and being that not a family member, not a close friend, but peers and people that are not familiar to them. Symbolic play, they learn, that I can use this pool noodle for a sword, or I can, use this little baby and we can play house, those types of things. And then reasoning, they start to watch others and learn right and wrong and, problem solve and make decisions through right and wrong. So parallel play, I'm going to show you some adaptions for painting. I showed you the action figures. I'm going to do cars and then dinosaurs. still feel like I'm gonna wipe this off. I feel like it's maybe dirty. Is that any clearer?
It's about the same. I don't know what that's about.
Okay. So here I took a pool noodle on a paintbrush. This is just a paintbrush that we have in the house. It's a normal, it's not a super thick one. It would be really hard to grasp for a kid. And I just poked the paintbrush all the way through the pool noodle. And now there's a large grasp for the kiddos to grasp and be able to paint with others. Parallel play is also something where the kids are side by side, and so they're doing something together but not interacting. And so painting and coloring are something that kids do quite a bit in parallel play. So that's a good one right there. Cars, all kids love cars, I think. I took this little car because I feel like Matchbox cars are hard for other kids to play with that don't have good, that have hand limitations, just don't have good fine motor. I took a binder clip, a small binder clip. I hot glued it to both sides. And now I can stick my finger, turn it right, inside of it, and I can play now. I can go all over the place. You can do bigger ones. You can also do the pipe cleaner, like I said, and hot glue it in the same way and have a large push and pull loop that they could use for that as well. Drake used this last night and he loved it. He thought it was really cool. So I did test these things out with my kiddo to make sure they worked. And then cars. So I have some trains here. These are magnetic trains, Thomas the Train. They connect to each other. Well, if you have a kiddo that doesn't have a tripod grasp and can't grasp these little trains, they're not going to get very far. And if you push them, they fall over. So we had a large magnet, a play magnet. And so if I take this magnet, I can play with the trains as well. And especially if you have a track. I didn't put the track up, but you have a avenue to stay on and follow and use some visual motor skills with that as well. But you can push and pull this. They stay on pretty well. You can also use one of those tools. They are just little magnets that if you drop a screw or something down in the car in the engine, you can get it out. You could use those too. They're very thin, might be hard to grasp. So I think that this is a lot better as well. That's just something that was found in our house. All right. Oh, dinosaurs. I'll show you those in a minute when we go to associative play. So associative play. So they're learning to share, they're developing language, they're problem solving, they're negotiating, and they're working in groups. This is another really vital, it's kind of similar to parallel play. It's just one of those ones that kind of, they overlap each other like we talked about. But their negotiation is starting. So, hey, let's play this and then we can do that. Or, hey, we could use this magnet and we could pick up pennies. They're just problem solving and negotiating what each other can do. So associative play is really good with blocks, trains, bubbles, story boxes, because they're still parallel playing, but they're interacting more than just watching and looking and observing. So the bubbles. I adapted these bubbles also with a binder clip because how many times has one of your kids said, I can't get the wand out. I can't put my fingers in there. I can't get it out. It's too slippery or whatnot. If you put a binder clip on it, now my hands are slimy, so give me a sec. Now they have a way to get the wand in and out without asking for an adult's help, and they can continue to play associatively. So it's a really simple route to go. I really love zip ties, which sounds crazy, but if you put a zip tie in backwards, which is just kind of hard to see. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Knocking everything around. You're laughing at me, Shelly. Stop. So zip ties, if you do them backwards, you can adjust them and readjust them and take them off. A lot of people don't know that they're not stuck if you put them in backwards. And so I love to use them as a universal cuff if I don't have one. I just put it on the dinosaur, put my hand in it, however the kiddos can hold it, and just anchor it down. And then you have a source of a universal cuff. So then the kiddos can play as well. They can be involved in that dinosaur play, that imaginary action figure play, or whatever it might be. You can also cut this off. I didn't want to, but you can, and then have a little room so it's not slinging people in the eye. But it's a really good universal cuff on the fly. These are not really low tech, but they're magnetiles. I love them because so many kids can't stack blocks without knocking them over, and so they can be involved with other kids. They can stack the blocks, build the blocks, and not have to worry about them falling over every time. These are great. I use them for a lot of different stuff like you saw earlier. I use them for sorting, building, stacking, all kinds of things, and there's all different shapes and sizes. Let's see, I'm getting lost in my sea of toys, guys. A story box, we also love these. You just grab a book, and whatever the book is talking about, you grab objects to correlate with the book. So this one is supper time for Frida Fuzzy Paws, and look, I'm sideways again. So this one has like milk and cookies, and dad and mom are cooking, and the kiddo joins in. They're having dinner, pasta for dinner. So then we have the pasta on the plate, and you can pretend play. This is something you can do associatively too, because the kids can be around the table. They're with each other. They're minimally interacting. So it's not pressured activity. And it just keeps going through the book. Dad's drawing, so we have paper and a crayon so the kids can imitate too. And then afterwards, they get cookies and milk after dinner. And then we have the cookies and milk so we can do some imaginary play that way. Story boxes are really fun. The kids really like them, and it's a good associative play. Oh my goodness, y'all.
Hey, Amy, while you're switching views, what was the last magnetized handle called?
I picked these up. So I don't know what they're called, but the website on them are www.learningresources.com. I picked them up at Cracker Barrel, I think, a long time ago, a really long time ago. But they're just large kids magnets. I'm sure if you Googled that, you could find them. They also have ones that are, they're just almost like a pen or a pencil, kind of wide, that you can get too, that are for kids. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, someone said Dollar Tree sells those when they begin stocking for school.
Oh, cool. There you go. See, I love our ideas and bouncing things off each other. That's what we're doing this for. All right. So now we're in the very last stage, cooperative play. So this is when we learn to play with each other nicely, ha ha ha, with minimal fights and ruffles and roughhousing, which is, I don't know if I'm ever going to get there with my kiddo. We learn to communicate, ask each other what we want to do. We learn empathy, trust, and like I was talking about, conflict resolution, trying to settle something before it gets too far out of hand. These are the higher executive functioning tasks and brain development. Cooperative play, you can't get cooperative play until you have gone through all of these other phases of play, so don't be expectant of that. If your kiddo cannot solitary, definitely not going to cooperative play. If he can't associative play, he's not going to cooperative play. So these are building blocks on one another, and cooperative play is the highest building block. So things like this are obstacle courses. You could do cooperative play. I really love to have a group of kids put an obstacle course together themselves or with their parents. I love to use painter's tape in the house with all kinds of pillows and cushions and chairs. I also use chalk on the carpet. It comes out very easily, except for the pink and red. Don't use those because it takes forever to get out of the carpet. But like the white disappears quickly, the light purple, green, all those will come out of the carpet pretty quickly. But it's a good way to draw things and have them navigate an obstacle course. Card games, board games, and throwing dice. So I think I did a simple dice activity for the kids that cannot, grab a handful of dice to play Tinsy or something. I just went and got a Rubbermaid box. Simple. The dice don't go everywhere. They can grasp it how they need to grasp it and shake the dice without losing control, some motor control. Super easy. I even thought about using this with Drake because, let's be honest, when kids throw dice, they are everywhere, and then you're losing them. So super easy. Then I took a pool noodle again and made, my fan's on, so I'm hoping this stays up. I made a card holder. You guys have probably seen that. I just cut the bottom to flatten it, and then I cut a slit in the middle, and then I did cut it all the way through. You probably can't see that. No, all the way through so the cards rest in the middle of the circle. That way that they're not coming in and out easily. But it's a simple task, something easy you can use. You can also cut one down like this, and then slice all the way around, not all the way through though, because your cards won't hold, and then you can have one that is held in your hand like this. There's several ways to do card holders. And then my last one to show you is an adapted board game. I did this right before everybody hopped on. It took me maybe 10 minutes. I didn't get through the whole thing because I didn't buy enough Velcro. So I adapted Candyland with Velcro squares. And then I put the scratchy Velcro on the bottom of the Candyland's mates. That way they can't be knocked over, can't lose the place. It's very simple. I also like to, sometimes this game gets visually overwhelming. So what I'll do is I'll grab a piece of paper or the slant board, and I'll open it and I'll cover one half of the board until we get to the other half, and I'll switch, and that makes it less visually overstimulating for the kiddos. I also have made index cards for the drawing cards. Just put the squares on there or the character, tried to draw them the best I could. And then that way the cards are bigger, they're easier to manipulate, and those kinds of things. But yeah, so I think that is pretty much all that I have today. Let's make sure. Yeah, if anybody has any questions or comments, you're more than welcome to throw them in the chat box. You can unmute yourself and interact live if you're comfortable, or you can engage in the Padlet via the QR code. Shelly and I will stay on for a little bit in case anybody has any questions or comments. Here is our Oklahoma Able Tech information if you guys need anything. You can also get a hold of me directly at amy.l.woods@okstate.edu. Thanks for coming, everyone. I hope this was informative and you got some great ideas, and I hope that you bounce some ideas off each other on the Padlet.
Hey, I went ahead and popped up some post Q&A polls. If you wouldn't mind filling those out real quick. One is, how did you hear about this event? Overall, how would you rate this event? And based on the information that Amy presented today, would you say that you could make an informed decision about the need of AT for play to meet your or your child or your client's needs? So I'm going to keep that up for a few minutes while Amy still wraps up. Sorry to interrupt you, Amy. I just wanted to get those popped up there real quick before people started leaving.
Oh, you're great. I was kind of done. I was just going to stop, share my PowerPoint, and I was going to go into the Padlet in case anybody has any questions.
I'll leave those up for a few minutes. And again, please feel free to unmute yourself if you want to have a live Q&A. I will say that obviously, please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Most of you have mine, and now you have Amy's email address. You can call us on our 800 number. We are still here and available by phone, email, and Zoom. Hopefully, we'll be back into the office in the next couple of weeks. Hey, next month is our Tech Thursday is going to be August the 20th, where Kimberly Berry, who is our teacher for the visually impaired, she'll be exploring low vision AT. So someone said that they're not able to submit a Q&A. I don't think that the Q&A is live. So if you want to unmute yourself and submit any questions that you might have verbally, or submit them here in the chat box, you can do that. I think we have most of the responses. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll so that then we can go back to visiting.
Oh, I was going to say, is the poll over? Some people probably weren't able to submit because I noticed you had to scroll down and finish all the questions, and then it'll highlight the submit box. So I didn't know if maybe that.
Oh, thank you for that. You're right. I think we got the bulk. We got 12 out of 15 responses, so I feel okay about that. But yeah, thank you. I'm going to put in my notes to remind people to scroll down. I always forget about that. My view is a little bit different than the audience view.
I forget that too.
Well, it doesn't sound like we have a whole lot of questions. So it's 1:59. Join us next month for low vision assistive technology. If you have coworkers that weren't able to make it today, this will be archived and put on our YouTube channel. Be sure and go to YouTube, search for Oklahoma Able Tech, and then subscribe if you want to get notifications as we submit new videos up there. But until then, reach out to us if you have any specific AT needs as you're preparing for the next school year. And we wish you a great and safe rest of July.